Welcome to Just Break Up, the podcast about love, heartbreak, and all the relationship advice you don't want to hear.
What's your name?
My name is Sierra DeMulder.
And I'm Sam Blackwell. And today we're going to answer a letter from somebody whose ex is manipulating her into thinking she did something wrong. But before we begin, we just want to give you our Surgeon General's warning, which is that Sierra and I are not licensed mental health practitioners.
Correct. We are not. We are not professionals. We are not trained in any of this. So please take your advice as you see fit as a supplement to other opinions and professional voices in your life. We are only here to offer our humble musings to hopefully shed some understanding and maybe some laughs about the incredibly rewarding but mostly confusing experience that is love.
All right, everyone, let's get into today's letter. Today's letter comes from Broke Free But Broke Somebody, whose pronouns are she, her, who is writing from Moved On Central. Just a content warning for this letter. It does talk about stalking behavior and suicide. Hello, Salmon, Sierra, and Spencer. I am a 28-year-old she, her who has been listening for years. This pod has been a guiding light when I was in the winter of my life. Thank you. I've contemplated writing in for a long time, and I think now I truly need your help. I broke up with my boyfriend who I knew for 4 years, 8 months ago. We met a few months before COVID hit. We were both in a city and had plans to move to other parts of the world, so we decided that we would keep it open since we planned to leave the city. But we would be primary partners. I quickly fell in love and he expressed feeling the same. However, I had then found out that he actually had a serious long-term, long-distance girlfriend, the kind that he brings home for Christmas while him and I were already dating. That was about 4 years ago. After I found out, COVID and lockdowns hit and we were both stuck in the same city. I am also in healthcare, so I got thrown into being a frontline worker immediately post-graduation. Most of my friends and family moved back to my home country, and I was alone with him. I had expressed I was not okay with the lie. Was it a lie? He insists it's not a lie. And due to the changed circumstances, I would need exclusivity. He broke up with his girlfriend, but he just would not be loyal, guys. We negotiated so many permutations of an open relationship, but every time it was me asking for more rules and him breaking them. For example, we would agree that he would only meet people for one-night stands, but he would get into relationship-y dynamics. I was in the worst time of my life. I had tried to end my life a few times and was deep into self-harm. I stuck with him because I had this idea that he was my only support in the city. In our time together, I think he had about 5 different situationships where he led the other girls on to believe that they were the only ones. To me, he was at least honest, but never agreed what he was doing was cheating, just him slipping up on the rules. I also never introduced any real circumstance for his rule breaking. We fought weekly about what we were on again, off again, broke up, got back together, but only in a non-monogamous way. But not this and yes, that, and OMG, I don't even know, but I know that it was bad. Every time we broke up, he would love bomb me and do some huge gesture, and then I would give in, and he would go back to being his usual self. Fast forward 2 years, I moved back to my home country, so did he, and I was much more stable mentally. He suddenly decided he was ready to be my boyfriend proper, and we would do long distance. I was happy. He did ask for it to be open, and though he was getting better at being more transparent, there were slip-ups along the way. Both he and I indulged in dates and occasional sex, but with clearer rules and better communication. Sometimes I would catch him in a lie, but I got better at accepting them and not overreacting. My move back home changed my perspective on everything. I realized that despite the proper relationship status, we kept fighting about little things. I knew that he could never be as honest as a partner as I would wish for, and I was putting up with silly frameworks to keep him around because I have huge abandonment issues. And most importantly, I realized that I stayed with him because 1, the world went to shit and we all did weird things, and 2, he always put me in competition with another woman, and my drive to stay with him was to win. It's toxic, I know, but I'm actively trying to fix this within me. On top of this realization that this relationship is not my good true love, I also met somebody at work who I clicked with immediately on a level deeper than sex. 2 weeks into talking to new guy, I knew it would not be right to keep my relationship with my ex no matter how the thing with my work colleague turned out. It was the push I needed to break up with my ex. My ex was blindsided and so angry. It has been 8 months, and at first he would spam call me, fly to my country to insist I meet him for closure and to try and get my attention as much as he could. When my grandma passed away, he bought me a BetterHelp subscription and again tried to insert himself into my life under the guise of being there for me. I communicated that I wanted it to end for real and did the block. Then he found out about me talking with a colleague in the last few weeks of our relationship. I believe my ex had been stalking my LinkedIn and realized that I was hearting work guys' posts. And man, it got worse. He started a TikTok account defaming me and divulging details of my family. I have been getting weird messages from random numbers, though it could not be him. And yesterday, my family found a FedEx envelope, no address, which means he probably came to the house physically with notes I wrote him while in our relationship that he then wrote over in red, lie. I have not engaged, but I am scared and I don't know what to do. I've always defended him, and even now I feel kind of guilty because I did sort of cheat on him. I understand how much he must be hurting, but I tried my absolute best to end it as soon as I realized that this was cheating. And also, if what I did was considered cheating, then he must finally agree that he cheated on me like 5 times. I know I did him wrong, and I get it, but does that allow for this behavior? I feel guilty, but also angry and also indifferent. It's so strange feeling so many things at once. All I can describe it as is weird. I don't think I should go into details, but he is also quite a violent character, the kind to shout at service staff and mess up your things before moving out of an apartment you shared. I know it is all coming from an unhealed childhood, and I think that he was doing so well on improving, but I am so scared of what he's capable of doing. Not sure what the question really is. Am I the victim or the perpetrator? Can I do something? Should I not? How do I find peace if someone is hammering at my door?
My darling, thank you so much for writing and for trusting us with this letter. I'm feeling a lot of feelings right now.
A lot of feelings. Yep.
The loudest feeling in my body is that this dude fucking sucks.
Oh, yes. And
I'm going to revert back to 2018 Sierra, just breakup host style. And I don't have a lot of empathy or humanizing capacity in my body for him right now.
Nope.
When he can do this sort of harmful behavior and also claim things like, oh, I didn't see it coming after he repeatedly lied to you and cheated on you for like years.
I cannot.
What the extreme gaslighting.
Absolutely.
To say like, oh no, I didn't see it coming. These consequences from my own behaviors. Oh no. Like what a sign of immaturity. And then to act out in the childish and really scary behavior and ways that he's acted out since. I really feel for you. I'm worried for you. And mostly, Sam and I just want you to know that by no means do you need to do the mental gymnastics that you're doing. We understand why you are. But the fact that you ended this long letter by saying, like, am I the victim or the perpetrator after you were lied to by this toxic person? And we all know, like, toxic people make us toxic too. That won't serve us today. It doesn't serve you feeling sure in your right to safety and right to peace to talk about all the things, to be accountable to your behavior. Guess what? It's not going to serve us today for you to be accountable to the toxicity that you brought to this relationship. It will serve you to be accountable to it in your future relationships, the ones that actually are built on trust and respect and mutual effort, right? That's where that growth matters. It's not worth it moving backwards, especially for a grade A schmuck of a man like this person is. I gotta take a break.
Yeah.
We'll talk more about that, but first we're going to take a very quick break.
I think Sierra said a lot of great things before we left, because I also feel angry about the way that this man is behaving towards you. And I also want to create some space for how scary and terrible that this experience must be like for you as well. You know, there's nothing worse than feeling unsafe in your own home. And the fact that he is doing things that kind of violate the safety and sanctity of that space by showing up unannounced, by doing the weird, terrible, creepy thing of printing off all of the letters that you sent him and writing lie, and then leaving it at your doorstep.
The audacity of that after he
was a fucking
lied
liar.
your entire relationship. The audacity of that tells me, it actually makes me more nervous because it tells me that we're dealing with somebody with such a low emotional intelligence and such a low maturity level. Like, you can't shit all over somebody's house and then be like, oh my God, did you fart? Like, you can't.
Yeah.
There's no self-awareness there. And it's concerning, like Sam said.
It is concerning. And, you know, that experience of being in a place where somebody is not respecting what you have asked them to do, which is to not contact you, to not show up at your house. Like, it is such an unsettling and scary feeling. And so I'm sorry that you're feeling that way. And what I'm also really sorry about is that, like, the way that this relationship has played out is making you question whether or not you somehow deserve to be harmed in this way, right? And you do not. Nothing that you did in this relationship, no matter how toxic you were in this relationship. And again, I don't see a lot of toxicity here besides you trying to preserve a relationship that he fundamentally wanted to undermine by changing the rules and gaslighting you into thinking that the rules didn't exist. Right? Even if you had a full-blown affair with this coworker, even if you had 27 full-blown affairs with 27 different people in your life, you do not deserve what this person is doing to you. Right? The behavior that he's exhibiting, the way that he is trying to insert himself into your life after you've asked him to stop, is absolutely unacceptable. No matter what you did in this life, no matter what you did in this relationship, you don't deserve to have somebody enact this type of harm on you. Like, you are 100% the victim in the way that this creepy stalker thing is happening here. You did not deserve a modicum of his behavior, right? Like, and I want to make sure that we're, like, separating these things, because there's, like, we can have a conversation about the ways in which maybe your toxicity, like, played off of each other, right? Again, like Sierra said, so that you can learn some of those patterns for yourself to apply to future relationships. But the relationship itself has absolutely nothing to do with the stalker behavior that this person is exhibiting, right? Like, in that instance, you are 100% the victim here. And this person needs to stop. Like, I wish that I could, like, have this person in front of me so I could be like, bro, what the fuck are you doing? Stop it. This is, like, unacceptable and not okay. And I know that you have this, like, I know that this person has some unhealed stuff in their childhood. And I appreciate that you are trying to provide empathy and understanding to that. I also want to name that lots of people have unhealed stuff in their childhood and they don't go stalking their exes, you know,
my
like,
bitch,
right?
That's it right there.
You know, like, there's a possibility of us having empathy for people and their experiences that they've had. And we should have empathy for the experiences that this person had. I absolutely agree with that. That's not an excuse for you to then enact harm on other people, right? And I think sometimes we get those two things confused, that our empathy should somehow excuse everyone's behavior towards us. But that's not what actually empathy means. Empathy means I understand and can empathize with how terrible of an experience that was, and that how hard it must be to move through the world having gone through that. And empathy is also saying you are a capable person of managing this in a way that doesn't cause harm to other people, right? Like, that is what actual empathy looks like.
Honestly, what I was just thinking is, like, we often get bogged down with the empathy in terms of saying, like, oh my God, I hurt him. He's hurting. He's having this outsized reaction, but I caused it. And And I just want to remind you and everybody listening that there are 300,000 other ways to respond to a breakup that are more common. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
for sure.
There are like, think about every breakup you've ever gone through, and like the worst thing that person did. It's probably better than what this grade A-hole is doing. I mean, I feel like he's throwing a temper tantrum because he lost the thing that he was taking for granted. And he's hurting. Yes, he's hurting. And I can see the humanness in him because he's hurting. And I recognize the hurt in me because we all hurt, yada, yada. And also, we all hurt. And we all choose to act better than him, or more mature. And I'm sounding more like my 2018-year-old self, but I am trying to paint it. I'm trying to put it in perspective of like, literally, he could choose 1,000 ways to deal with his hurts
Absolutely.
that aren't this. He could get into pottery, and then he could break that pottery. Boom, done.
Oh my God.
Not being a huge douchebag.
Absolutely. You could go to therapy.
Oh my God, yeah. Who'd have thunk it? This man needs therapy. Who'd have thunk it?
Stop lying, maybe.
The lying thing is a trigger for me.
No, I know. When you sent this letter to me and we're like, we're going to read this, I was like, are you sure that you want
I am sure. I am sure. We need to talk about the fact that Sam and I, we are not professionals. We are not trained in this. We are not advocates. We are not the resource, but we want to point you gently to say that this is stalking behavior. This is upsetting and concerning behavior paired with the fact that he's a violent person who obviously has immaturity and anger problems. And so I would look to professionals for how to navigate this behavior, whether that be your therapist or a local police department. And I say that with a huge caveat because I'm not necessarily a pal of the police. And I also know that police have historically handled stalking cases incredibly poorly because it's a, quote, hard thing to prosecute or whatever. But I'm just wondering if there is a protocol that you could be following, like reporting all of these incidents so that you have them documented somewhere in case something escalates. Or, again, this is not Sam and I's profession or our training. And I know that is a shortcoming of our podcast, but we are what we are. And we just want to enthusiastically send you elsewhere to people who do know what they're talking about. Googling, I'm being stalked. What should I do now? Reaching out to a mental health professional, documenting each of these incidents, time-stamped, right, with the receipts so that you have this well-documented case against him if this continues to escalate. Also, fucking buy some mace because that son of a bitch is untrustworthy. And I mean it. And that's not a joke.
Nope. I think that is very reasonable. Yeah. And, seek out those resources. I don't know what country you are currently in, but I know that there are, at least in the United States, there are places where you can call and be referred to local resources. I don't know if that exists in the country that you're living in, but seek those resources out because there are really smart, capable, kind people at organizations that can help you figure out how you want to handle this situation because this dude is stalking you, right? There's no question about that for me and Sierra. And I know that throughout your relationship, he trained you to think that you were overreacting to everything, right? Even when you said in your letter, right? Things got better in your relationship when you just accepted his lies and stopped overreacting about them, right? You even called it overreacting. This man systematically through your relationship has taught you that you are making things up. You are overreacting to things. His lies aren't lies. His behavior isn't bad behavior. You're just freaking out about it. And he is using that training that he has done from your relationship to stalk you and to convince you that you're the one who deserved it, or that somehow you're overreacting to his behavior. And I want to say that I think that you need to be paying attention to what's happening in this, and that seeking help and resources from local community organizations, from friends and family, from your therapist is something that you need in this moment, because I am afraid that this man's behavior is going to escalate into something that goes beyond just leaving letters at your house, right? Like this, he has already shown a willingness to show up at your house unannounced and do harmful things to you. And I'm afraid of what could happen if his behavior goes unchecked in a meaningful way, right? Or if he continues to be allowed to convince you that you're somehow overreacting to this really, really harmful and dangerous behavior that he's exhibiting towards you.
Yes. And I want to say, I'm really excited about this new person in your life, and that you, like every living person on this earth, including your shit-eating ex, we have a fundamental right to make mistakes and learn and do better. And so everything that you feel like you contributed to this last relationship, you can put effort into healing within yourself and being curious about within yourself. Well, what made me do that? What made me lean that way? Or what made me contribute to that? And how can I hold myself accountable to not do that again? That is the journey, is to fuck up and do better. And I'm excited for you to continue on that journey in a healthier and safer place away from your ex. And I love you.
Absolutely. We love you so deeply. Thank you so much for writing to us.
We hope this helps.
All right, everyone. Thank you so much for listening. If you would like more content from us, or if you would like access to our monthly office hours, you can support us on Patreon. If you support us on Patreon for as little as $5 a month, you'll get access to those monthly office hours, which is when Sierra and I hop on Zoom with anyone who wants to join us. And we check in about a topic, and then we answer folks' questions in real time. Sometimes those questions are, what's your favorite color? And sometimes those questions are about real important things that people are going through. And everyone benefits from the advice of everyone else in the chat, which is super fun. It feels like a very community experience, which I think is really affirming to Sierra and me. And they're just so much fun. They're so fulfilling. They fill up my cup every time we do them. Our next office hours are going to be on August 27th at 8 p.m. Eastern Time, 7 p.m. Central. So if you are interested in joining us for this office hours, you can go to patreon.com/justbreakup.
You can slide into our DMs, send us your favorite relationship memes, but most importantly, you can submit your questions about all matters of the heart at justbreakuppod.com, which is also where you can find our merchandise.
Please remember to like, follow, subscribe, give us a 5-star rating and review. This literally keeps our mics on and helps us reach more brokenhearted souls who need two random strangers giving them relationship advice.
Just Break Up is a production of Duvid Media, original music, recording, editing, producing, all magical things by our good friend Spencer Worth Davis. Make sure to check out his music and podcasts. And remember, no matter what you did or what you contributed to, you still deserve safety and peace. You're human. You're allowed to make mistakes and grow from them. You deserve physical safety, emotional safety, a space of love and trust where you can grow into the best version of yourself. And if all else fails,
just break up.